Here's a sneak peek from today's episode.
It's so much work. First of all, you, the marketer, has to be dedicated to it. And identifying someone, it takes some time because just because they're in the C-suite or in a leadership position, that doesn't mean they're a thought leader. So you have to keep your eyes and ears open. Listen in meetings. Listen for who actually is having some thoughts.
Welcome to the Content Amplified podcast, brought to you by Masset. Our goal is to help you get more from your marketing content. Each episode is a 10 to 15 minute interview with industry experts that share amazing insights to help you squeeze as much juice from your content as you possibly can. Here's today's interview.
Welcome back to another episode of Content Amplified. Today I'm joined by Carolyn. Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Carolyn, I'm excited for this episode. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. We started talking beforehand and both of us had to say, stop, we got to wait until we're recording. So I'm really excited for the subject. But before we get there, let's get to know you, Carolyn. Tell us about your career, all that fun stuff. We'd love to get caught up on you.
Well, I started my career as an 8th grade English teacher. And as I mentioned to you before, Ben, pretty much everything that I needed to know about marketing, I learned as an 8th grade English teacher and as a mother. So I moved into marketing. I actually started my professional career. Well, after teaching school, I got recruited by a software company to do their instructional design and training. And from there, I did product management, which I actually loved. I loved building things, and then moved into product marketing. And eventually, about 15 years ago, I started in cyber and specifically for the federal government.
I love it. That's awesome. Carolyn, we always ask our guests, what do you love about content and what do you love about marketing?
So I love the story. I love digging into challenges, understanding what people are dealing with, and then telling it through a story. So the technology is super cool. I do love technology, but I love technology in the sci-fi sort of way. Like if you're going to tell me about technology, tell it to me either through Star Wars or Star Trek.
I'm trying to imagine what would that look like for you in like the sci-fi way? That's fascinating to me.
Okay, so I actually am engaged with a writer. His name is Steve Stratton. He's an old friend. I met him years ago when I first started into cyber. He's now an author. And he is going to write a series of stories for us that include our technology, but the technology is going to be part of the story. So it's a fictional story. He's going to write multiple vignettes. We're going to put them together in the end and have a book, and we're going to have him come do a book signing. So this story, like the main character is Nikki Fury, and she's in defense, and our technology is weaved into the story.
Okay. So I'm hooked on this because I love everything about that. I love this concept. And you hear all the Donald Miller things about building a story brand and how you should be the honored sidekick and the trusted source. I think it's going to be cool. I also love fiction because it helps you, all of the studies show it helps you empathize with other people really, really well. So I think that's going to be fascinating. And this is a cool example of B2B content done well. It's not just another webinar. This is legit creativity. I love it. That's super cool.
If you dream it, that's how we got to the moon. We dreamt about it first, and our writers wrote about it, and it was impossible. But that seed, that possibility seed was planted, and we did it. And that's why I love the fiction. I'm with you, the sci-fi stories, because we're thinking about the possible.
That's super cool. We won't get into it, but I have one of my sisters who is dead set that we did not get to the moon. She didn't believe it for a long time. She has a friend that tried to convince her. We have a lot of debates. We won't go down that road, but she is dead set on the fact that we did not get to the moon.
Well, listen,
it is fascinating.
If she hasn't already, have her watch Fly Me to the Moon. It's a new movie have you seen it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's pretty creative,
so
and it makes you think, okay, well, maybe.
Yeah. Which feed did they use? Yeah, I love it. That's super cool. Well, Carolyn, today we're going to focus on thought leadership content.
Which I love, as you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it was funny before we were talking, I was like, I hate thought leadership content. And what I really meant is I hate poor thought leadership content. I hate my LinkedIn feed full of people bragging or not sharing valuable insights or even flat out just lying and claiming they know something that they haven't really experienced. What should thought leadership actually look like? What are your thoughts on that space in general? What does thought leadership really look like when it's done properly?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with done properly. Thought leadership is incredibly hard to do because everybody wants to go straight to their product. And I'll give you an example of, I mean, I fall into the trap all the time too. Good thought leadership is creative. It's thinking about the problem. It's not thinking about the product. It's thinking about, and it's people in your space. Like it should be relevant to what your business is. It doesn't have to always be, but it's about challenges that people in the industry that you're in are facing every day and how to solve those challenges. And thought leadership matters because it does build trust when it's done well. It builds brand, it differentiates you. It does drive business growth, but it does it in a way, to me, it's more collaborative. It's the kind of marketing that I love because you're actually contributing to the industry that you're in. And in my case, specifically the government, and trying to solve those hard problems. And I'll tell you, I fell into thought leadership. I had never heard of such a thing until I started at Raytheon Cyber Products. And they brought me in to market a product that I couldn't even say its name. It was that sensitive. Things were happening in the media. I mean, huge stories. I would get gag orders. Very likely, had our product been in place, they wouldn't have happened. And we're talking, we're talking about the biggest insider threat story since I've been in the business was Edward Snowden. And I couldn't talk about him because the company was too worried. It was too sensitive for multiple reasons. Anyway, I couldn't talk about the product. I couldn't even talk about what was going on in media. So I started brainstorming and getting creative. And the thought leadership idea developed out of necessity because it was the only thing that I could do. And like I said, I found it to be incredibly satisfying and something that I've leaned into since finding it through my podcast. I have a podcast, Tech Transforms, where I talk to government leaders about stuff they're thinking about. But to do thought leadership, the first thing you have to have is people with thoughts. So, and I'm quoting a good friend, Evan Wiesel of W2, good friend, known him for years. And he and I like to geek out about thought leadership. And he's like, the first thing you have to have is people with thoughts. And then willing to share those thoughts because it does make them vulnerable, right? So as a marketer, the first thing to do to get good thought leadership going is first, like, I need to be informed. And then identify people in your organization that maybe they don't know they have thoughts. You can help them get there though.
That's super cool. That was going to be one of my next questions. Who in the business should focus on it? I love that. One of my questions, and I think a lot of content marketers, heads of marketing, anyone inside of a business that knows thought leadership can move the needle. It's going to widen the funnel, increase the brand awareness, and eventually can translate into additional revenue. But they're struggling to track it. They're struggling to justify it. They're struggling to get their CEO on board and actually take time out of their day and publish on LinkedIn and have these conversations. How do you explain to those in your business that may not understand its value and assist getting resources, time, and honestly, just backing to focus on something like thought leadership?
I just came back from my sales kickoff meeting. And one of the things we did was we did some roundtable discussion groups. So we gave all the attendees a choice of 5 different discussion groups. One of them was thought leadership. So everybody that came into my group was interested in this topic. And I shared with them ahead of time, okay, here is what thought leadership is not. It is not about our product. Here is what it is. Here are some ideas. Here's an article to read. I tried to prep our groups as well as I could. The group started and we immediately, all of us, including me, went straight to our product. And I didn't even realize it. We're like 5 minutes into the conversation. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is all really good. And this is good marketing for the product. But where's the thought leadership? What challenge are we solving for people in our industry in a way that maybe they haven't thought about? It's so much work. First of all, you, the marketer, has to be dedicated to it. And identifying someone, it takes some time, because just because they're in the C-suite or in a leadership position, that doesn't mean they're a thought leader. So you have to keep your eyes and ears open. Listen in meetings. Listen for who actually is having some thoughts. And I'm lucky. My CEO is an incredibly curious person, always wanting to learn, has ideas that sometimes, I mean, he could write a sci-fi book, some of the ideas that he comes up with. And he's fun to talk to. So he's been someone that I've been able to start down this thought leadership path with. And he and I both will start talking, and we both, like I said, we fall into that trap of, oh, we're back to product. Okay, how do we up level this and get ourselves out of that technical product focus? So, like I said, I'm lucky, and it's nice if it's your CEO. It's nice if it's your CTO. Those titles are nice. A lot of times in my industry with government, the publications don't like certain titles. They don't like sales, they don't like product, and they don't like marketing. So I have many times given new titles to these thought leaders that align with who they really are rather than a job title.
I like the emphasis that that brings as well to thought leadership, for people to say, okay, I've kind of got multiple titles and one of the hats that I wear. And I love that you, I think this is a discipline that businesses need to have. When you look at the content you're producing, how much of it is about our product versus what I feel like the real meaning of thought leadership is about is showing your audience that, first of all, you're informed about the space, but second of all, that you just are someone that cares and that you're relatable. And as people go through that process to say, I may not have a problem that they can solve with their software, but I love that they're so passionate about what I care about and what I do that they're going to make the list for when I need to do an analysis. They're for sure on the list because we align. We're already kind of friends in the process. Is that kind of how you look at it?
Absolutely. Yes. And like I said, I'm lucky. My CEO is that kind of guy. It's still an effort on the marketer's side. You have to be, like I said, be very dedicated. I am constantly watching the news. I follow certain thought leaders that I love, and I share these topics on a regular basis with the few thought leaders within my organization that I've identified. We talk about it regularly, but something that you just said about trusting and believing in what we're doing, the government is especially sensitive to that. People in government do not go into government for the money. People in government go into government, the majority of them at least, because they truly believe in what they're doing. And if they don't feel like you're in it with them, they're not going to trust you. And thought leadership is the number one way to do that. But it has to be genuine. And you have to diversify how you use your thought leadership. So repurpose. I repurpose a lot. Like I said, I have a podcast. I use that podcast. We don't talk product usually. I mean, sometimes I'll get a guest on and I want them to talk about their product because I know that our audience is hungry to solve this problem that this product talks about. But the most part, like, it's thought leadership. So I'll take that podcast. It's so easy to turn it into a blog, to LinkedIn posts, to even eventually webinars. But any way you can think to repurpose it, you do it. And you mentioned something about AI earlier too. AI is a great collaborator, but it has to be just that. If you put your brain in the footlocker and try to get AI to be your brain, you're going to lose. I think to keep the pace, you have to use AI. More importantly than AI, you need to know your industry. So you need to know the media, you need to know the players in the media, what your competition is saying and doing. And it's hard to know all that as a marketer, right? Like, that's a lot. So it's incredibly important to partner with somebody that does. I partner with a PR firm, W2, and they know government incredibly well. And they are trusted. I've known them for years. They are very good at thought leadership. So I partner with them because they know the players and they believe in thought leadership. But you also mentioned measurement. It's squishy, right? Like, how do you get your
I like that term. I haven't heard that before, but that's totally accurate.
It's not impossible to measure. So you identify your channels. You're going to be in your industry publications. So that's one way to measure. How many times are you earning your media? Not buying it. That's different. Also okay and good, but earning those placements as a byline or an op-ed. The LinkedIn engagement, watching the LinkedIn engagement on your thought leaders and on your company in general, because those thought leaders are going to drive engagement for your company, as long as you make sure you do your tagging correctly. Invitations. So, and awards. So as my thought leaders become more prevalent in the industry, they're starting to get invited without me having to go out and solicit it. Invitations are just coming in. Media is seeking my thought leaders because they know they have thoughts. And then back to the social, just your followers. If your followers are going up as you're tracking the thought leadership, those are really good ways to measure. But thought leadership can't be haphazard. It can't be here and there. It has to be consistent. You have to be relentless with doing it. Like you do your podcast. I can't believe you do 5 episodes a week. That is a lot. And it seems like I can do this. It's a 15-minute podcast. You and I both know as podcasters, it's a lot of work, which podcasting is an excellent form of thought leadership.
There are so many sound bites in there. I can already see all of the social media posts. This is amazing. Carolyn, in light of keeping these episodes short, we are out of time today. But I love the conversation. I loved your thoughts. I love how you're talking about this virtuous cycle of doing the right things and how more right things and good opportunities will present themselves. Carolyn, if anyone wants to reach out and connect with you online, how and where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. That's the best way to connect with me. I would love to hear from you.
And we will link to all of Carolyn's information in the show notes below. Carolyn, again, thank you so much for the time and insights today.
Ben, thank you. This has been really fun.
Thank you for listening to the Content Amplified podcast. Please subscribe and leave us a review. And for additional ways to get more out of your content, visit our website at getmasset.com. That's getmasset.com. And tune in next time to the Content Amplified podcast.